Guys Nation. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me for another amazing interview. Today, I have with me Grace Glowicki, who is here to talk about her Sundance Film Festival movie called Dead Lover. Grace, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. I hope you are not as cold as I am. I'm in New York. Not sure where you are, but it's a little warmer wherever you are.
Yeah, I hear it's very cold there today. It's like in Park City, it's sunny and it's not too biting. So I think we might be in a better situation here than New York in terms of coldness right now.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to hear that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is your second feature film, and it is part of the Sundance Film Festival. So, how does that feel? That has to be super exciting.
Yeah, it honestly feels so amazing. Like, when we were making this film, we always would say to each other, like, oh my God, can you imagine if we could get into Sundance and it could play the midnight category? Like, we just thought, we always kind of had this as the mountain in the sky that we were like hoping to get to the top of. So we're just like so happy because the midnight audience is so engaged and so fun and rowdy, and for a film like this, it's just the most beautiful fit. So we're like super humbled and just so happy that they're choosing to support the film in this way.
Yeah, and that is a perfect time for a movie like this, because when the chance to watch Dead Lover, an interview came through my inbox, it was described as like House meets Rocky Horror meets Clue. And the Rocky Horror aspect is, they're still to this day doing it where they're doing live performances and the audience is getting engaged. I can imagine that with Dead Lover. Like, I feel the audience is going to get engaged with this.
Oh my God, I hope so. I hope there's like some long fingers that people bring out or something. I can see, yeah, for sure there could be some funny traditions associated with some of the imagery and lines and stuff in this movie. That's a big compliment. Thank you.
No worries. So, if you don't mind me asking, what kind of inspired Dead Lover, inspired it to be filmed the way it is? Because it very much, again, reminds me of, say, like Rocky Horror Picture Show. There's obviously a lot of, like, practical effects, practical makeup and everything. So what kind of brought you to even do this movie like this?
Yeah, so basically, like, it's kind of a meditation on love and control, and the old adage, if you love it, let it go. So I wrote the movie created the story with 4 other people, one of whom is a therapist, the other 3 are filmmakers, and we kind of just riffed on building characters and circumstances surrounding those themes. And then when it came to actually having a script, I just have a real fascination with live theater. And so I always thought, like, I wonder, like, if you could make a compelling movie that's fun to watch, that honors the sort of janky DIY aesthetic of like a black box play that has like a low budget, and marry that with something more cinematic. So the aesthetic is very much always trying to kind of honor janky theater while somehow making it watchable in a cinematic context. So that sort of was the ethos that drove a lot of our aesthetic choices. And we were so lucky to shoot on 16 millimeter because it has kind of its own imperfect textural quality, which was like just amazing to be able to capture the story on that format, because it just holds so much of the humor and nuance that the story does. So yeah, that's kind of where it all came from.
That's amazing. And not only are you the woman behind the camera, you are also the woman in front of the camera. So, how was that for you as well? It looked like you were having a lot of fun. I was just imagining how cool that would be, especially the monologue scenes and everything.
Totally. Yeah, it was a pretty wacky choice on my part to take all of that on, but it's like I often direct because I'm a performer that loves playing bigger characters. So when I, have the control and I'm able to make some of those casting choices and stuff, I always throw myself in, just because I can get my energy out, if you will. And it was a total joy. And I don't think I could have had so much fun doing it if I didn't have such an amazing team around me. Like everyone, it was a super collaborative set, and everyone kind of problem solved together and was contributing to the story together. So because I was held in such a kind of almost like a theater troupe, me and the other actors, where we're very much like sharing the load of everything, it just made performing in it an absolute joy. It was so much fun.
It just really looked it. And I mean, so there was one scene, because when I was in high school, I did the stage performing, right? And there's a scene in the movie where you're like on a horse, but you're kind of like obviously moving yourself to like in half, but you're on a horse. And I don't know, there was something about that brought like great joy to watch, because it's like, it just goes to show that you don't need like crazy effects or anything like that to get the story, to have fun, to enjoy it. So I very much felt like that. Did it feel like that for you?
It really did. Like, and that's like when I go to a theater, like an experimental theater show in Toronto, and I see the different creative ways people portray different illusions and stuff. It's just, there's such a charm and such a humor to it, and the resource, like, because the limitations of budgets are usually much lower for like independent theater, it just creates such a amazing just like bounty of creativity that I don't think is the same when you have such a big budget and you have all these departments that can do things super realistically. So the horse, for example, was two like desk chairs with the backs cut off, so we were literally just bumping up and down on like a desk chair. And it totally has its own charm and humor. So I'm glad it reminded you of your theater days, because it's definitely trying to honor the joy that comes with that kind of storytelling.
No, yeah, I just really love that. There was just something very authentic about seeing the movie shot that way. And so with the shooting of this film, I mean, how long did that take? Is there a lot that say that was cut from the movie? Or, I mean, if you can give me an insight into that.
For sure. So we shot, the principal photography window was, I believe, 16 days, and then we edited for close to a year and then had 2 pickup days. And I think each day of shooting was probably like 11 hours plus a 1 hour lunch break kind of thing. So not rigorous, but not terribly rigorous days. So that's kind of how long it took to shoot it. And before that, I think the story started percolating maybe 4 years ago. A long process, but a relatively short shoot.
Well, I mean, which you could always get a lot done in a short amount of time. There's so many interviews that I do where people say, oh yeah, we did this in 16 days, 10 days, 20 days, and it just always amazes me. And as we said before, this is your second feature film, so I mean, I'm assuming that you have more, coming up for us, more stuff that you got planned.
Totally. Yeah, and actually, me and one of my producers, Yona Strauss, are in the Sundance Producers Lab with our next film called The Glob. We're getting ready to hopefully make another one in the next couple of years. Also a genre comedy, so I think I'm kind of in love right now with horror comedy, so I'm gonna stick with it.
I was gonna say, it definitely seems like you enjoy being in that like art house horror, sphere. What would you say is the biggest inspiration for you when you are thinking of films, when you're in that creative process?
Yeah, like generally the biggest inspiration is just like the feeling you get when you and a collaborator giggle about something ridiculous that you've thought up. that are then going to bring into reality. That's kind of like the heart inspiration for all of it. But on a literal level, like I love Mel Brooks, Monty Python, slapstick comedy, exploitation movies, the practical effects of horror movies from like the 60s and 70s, analog storytelling, and performance in general. Like I really love performance and love to find ways to really pedestal performers.
That's amazing. I mean, what would you say, like, when did you decide that this was, you know, the work that you wanted to do, that you wanted to get into filmmaking, acting?
Yeah, I think it was probably when I was in school. I was in school for like art history in Montreal from 2006 to 2010, and I just auditioned for a play kind of on a whim, and then started doing theater on the side in university, and I just totally fell in love with the sort of the feeling of being a part of a little community of weirdos doing make pretend. There was something about that just really kind of hooked its teeth in me, and I'm always chasing that. Like whenever I'm creating a film up or starting a collaboration, I'm always just trying to chase that feeling of making something with your friends, and laughing with each other about the funny things that happen in that process. So that's kind of, I think, when it all hooked its teeth in me.
Yeah, and that's amazing. I can definitely tell that from your work. So, correct me if I'm wrong here. Has the premiere, like, have you gone to see this or no? It's coming out at Sundance. So, are you going to be in person when it premieres?
Yeah, so it's tomorrow night, and I think it's like an audience of like 520 people. So I'm very nervous. It's very exciting. Like, I think the biggest group it's ever screened for is like 20 people. So I'm definitely in for some like a shocking come to reality of having to show it to that many people. But I'm really hoping the audience likes it. I think it is perfectly suited for a midnight crowd. So yeah, hopefully they're into it. But I'm bracing myself.
Does that feel like that's the most nerve-wracking thing? Like, you made the movie, right? You were on set, you did your thing, but then actually showing it to people, does that feel like that's the most nerve-wracking thing to you?
It's pretty darn nerve-wracking, like, especially when you kind of when you're being like a little unconventional and taking some swings with your comedy. Like, the movie is very manic and hyper. It has a real high energy. So with that, like with those more unconventional swings, like you often end up with a more polarized reception. So I'm definitely like preparing myself for like the people that get this movie are gonna really get it, and the people that it's not for are probably really not gonna like it. So yeah, I'm bracing myself to confront the wrath of that reality. But I think that's also kind of the filmmaker I am, is I like to kind of take swings. So, but yes, it is very nerve-wracking. And I'll be basically like clenched until I hear the first giggle from the audience, and then I'll probably relax.
I think that they'll be giggling pretty early on. So
pray for us.
I will. You brought up a good point, though, because whenever we're in a creative position and we're making things, right, obviously within ourselves, we really like it, right? But then whenever you put something out, there's always going to be someone who dislikes it. How do you deal with that? Like, the people who may not.
Yeah. Totally. Like, I'm lucky because I'm an actor as well in other people's movies. Like, I've been engaging with criticism of my work for 10 years now. So I've developed a bit of a thicker skin about it. So it doesn't it doesn't grip me as much as it used to. It's still difficult, but I think basically it's like, you know, you just ask yourself, there's things I like and there's things I don't like, and so I have to accept that in other people, that some people are going to like this and they're not going to like this, and that's normal, that's natural, that's just what comes with making art, especially, you know, if it's specific. And really all that matters is that you like it and you can stand by it, and I really do love this film. I'm super proud of it, so if I get any bad responses, I'll just lean on that inside of myself.
Totally. I think that's a good mentality to have when you're putting your art out there. You know, while I have you for a little bit longer, I always like to ask the people that I'm interviewing, because we are Geek Vibes Nation, so we are very much geeks here. I'm not sure if you're into, like, you know, Marvel, DC, or anything like that, but I always like to ask that if you could be a superhero on screen, who would you choose to be?
Okay, this is maybe not exactly a perfect answer because this character isn't on screen yet, but there's an Image comic called Snot Girl, and if I could do anything connected to, like, comics and movies, it would be to get to be Snot Girl in a movie of that comic.
I just looked her up, and the first thing that came up was Snot Girl Volume 1, Green Hair, Don't Care, and I absolutely love the imagery of this.
It's amazing. She's basically like a social media girly who has, like, really bad allergies, so she's constantly just, like, so much boogers are coming out of her nose, and it turns into, like, a psychodrama. It is such an amazing comic, the same people that did Scott Pilgrim.
You know, I actually really love when comic books that get adapted that are outside of, say, like, the superhero, like, Marvel, DC purview, because one of my favorite shows of all time was the show called iZombie that is based off a comic book, and it's like, she's not, you know, a superhero, but it's from a comic, and I love that. So this I love. This I definitely love.
Amazing.
Awesome. You know, Grace, I also, when I have people on, I always like to ask, like, where can we find you? Are you on Instagram? Are you a TikTok girly? You know, like, where can people find you?
Yeah, so I'm actually, believe it or not a social media person, so I don't have any of the socials, but the film has a Instagram page. It's a Dead Lover Film on Instagram. You can find us and keep in touch with all of the Dead Lover updates.
Absolutely. Yes, Dead Lover, you know, coming to Sundance, literally premiering tomorrow, which is so cool. It's going to be great, okay? I'm sending, like, prayers. It's going to be great.
Yeah,
and
pray for us sinners.
And we will have Dead Lovers review out on Geek Vibes Nation after the embargo is lifted. So we will definitely have a review out for that. Grace, it has been amazing speaking with you. I wish the best of luck for your ongoing career. I think that you got a lot of good stuff coming ahead of you.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy we got to talk, and thanks so much for showing some love to the film. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.